Am I correct, Venkat?
Yes, yes, sir.
You sent a reminder this morning also. Sundar, you sent, no?
Yes, sir, yes, sir. It is gone. Reminder is gone.
We sent an SMS during this period of lockdown. The amount of email, SMS reminders, I think we sent more than 3.5 lakh SMSs to our members, reminding them about the program.
Nice, very kind of you.
About the program, event, and those things. No, but the idea is normally people want to watch at the moment they get busy with some other work, they miss it. So if the SMS goes half an hour before, then they remember.
Right.
The time of recall of an event of this nature is not more than 1 hour 45 minutes, unless otherwise they got a very personal interest to that match.
Correct.
So we have done some work on that, but very difficult to keep the guys hooked.
Yeah.
In fact, this evening, I don't know, it'll be too late or 6 o'clock in the evening. You are again outstanding speaker. Veerappa Mouli is going to talk. He's the former Chief Minister of Karnataka. It's all about reforms.
Okay.
He's the one who was chairman of the Reforms Committee, Administrative Reforms Committee, while he was a minister.
Okay. Very nice.
interesting.
I'll listen to his recording.
Yeah, recording. And tomorrow we have a board. Debashish, you know, our team from Mumbai only.
Okay.
Bajpai is talking tomorrow. Bajpai and
GN Bajpai.
that former SEBI chairman.
Yeah, GN Bajpai. Okay.
Yes, and along with Shailesh Harbakti is going to talk tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Very nice.
Shailesh Harbakti is a good, smart chartered accountant. Good, very thorough professional actually, with Jangu Dalal.
Okay.
So we are discussing, actually I wish students watch all this. I'm going to tell them how the balance sheet is not the one which dictates your brand, no more. There are many other factors which are impacting your corporate brand image, and what is the boardroom responsibility towards that actually. What the board should do in terms of both responsibility towards customers and also stakeholders. It's quite an interesting one. Okay, you can go ahead. Going to be 9 now. Start.
Yes, sir. Please.
So 5-10 minutes, we'll on my briefing only. By the time people can join.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, the faculty members and the students who are joining the program today on time management. Very warm welcome to all of you. A very vital topic today when we have a lot of time at our disposal and we're really figuring out how to manage the time as well as our task matching it. To introduce the speaker of the day, the distinguished guest speaker, Professor Manu Vora, and also to put the event in context, let me invite Group Captain R. Vijay Kumar, Mr. Seva Middle, Executive Director, MMA, to take it forward. Sir, all yours. Vijay Kumar, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Venkat. Good morning, my dear students, and good morning, my members of MMA and all the viewers watching this program. I thought before I will introduce Professor, it's a privilege for me. Let me also briefly watch some of the events, because whatever events we do, it's also we do it for the benefit of students as well as for the members of MMA. Like this evening, we have got a not to be missed an outstanding event by Dr. Veerappa Moily, who is former Chief Minister of Karnataka, former Union Minister of number of ministries. He's going to be talking to us on political administration and reforms. Because as a student, you should know about what is administration reforms at the national level to understand the macroeconomic and other economic issues when you are in different job, which will really help you out. If you have time and inclination, manage your time. After listening to Dr. Professor, you'll be able to manage your time. Log in and watch this program this evening at 6 p.m. On 14th, again, that is tomorrow evening, again, an interesting talk for especially for MBA students, board role and commitment in a company's sustainability and success in the current times. We got 4 outstanding speakers, corporate leaders who will be talking to us on this. Mr. Bajpai is a former SEBI chairman and former chairman of LIC, and Mr. Arbatti is a chartered accountant leading charter from Mumbai. Mr. Ravi Purushothaman, president of Danfoss, and Mr. Jangu Dalal is the managing director of Intuitive Consulting. So they'll be talking to us tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Do join in because all these events are free for our MBA students and our member students, and you can log into the same ID which you're logging in today, not the Zoom one, other IDs which are logged in, our webinar, YouTube, and Facebook. Then on 15th, 6 p.m., again, an interesting talk by outstanding thought leaders from the political system. Bhatruhari Mehta is a 6-time member of parliament from Biju Janata Dal, Orissa, and he's also the best parliamentarian last year. So it's an outstanding thought leader. He's going to be talking to us on COVID-19 impact on Indian economy, because the way he's also a chairman of the labor committee as on now. He'll also touch upon what's the labor reforms, which are discussing so seriously nowadays about the labor reforms, which every government is asking for labor reform, industrial association asking for labor reform. What does it mean while the unions are objecting to labor reform? Does it make sense to make labor work from 8 hours to 12 hours? Because last time, there are a lot of issues are involved actually. So you students should know, as MBA students, do log into this program. This is happening at 15th evening at 6 o'clock. Then again on 20th evening, we are contemplating or in discussion to do COVID-19 impact on commuting, because commuting has become totally different ball game now post-COVID, and how we are going to walk, how we are going to travel the train, buses, in your own car, sharing the taxis. All this is going to be a serious thing, because commuting is also one of the important economic activity in this environment. So we are going to discuss some expert in the field to be talking to us. This will happen on 20th. On 21st, I don't know how many of you know, this is a World Cultural Diversity Day. We do celebrate Cultural Diversity Day. And Unity in Diversity, the topic is happening by Dr. Soundarya Rajesh. He's a founder of Avatar Group, one of the cultural and diversity specialists, along with Bhavani Balasubramaniam. He is a diversity and inclusive leader, Deloitte. Then 23rd, we are also starting a series on branding, brand summit. 23rd, we are starting that because, again, I've been telling you as earlier, the brands of the company are determined not by the balance sheet. What they show is much more than the balance sheet. So what does it mean to the companies? How do I going to do the brand development, brand management series? And I'm happy and privileged to tell you the first brand management series is happening at morning 11 o'clock to 12:15 on 23rd. Mr. Suresh Narayanan, Chairman and Managing Director of Nestle, is going to be talking to us. This program, we are bringing to you one of the finest brand company in India today, brand valuation company in India today, Equator. They'll be talking to us. They'll be telling the concept and various ideas, what's happening in the field of branding. So it's happening on 23rd. Please do log in. On 29th May, again, we have an excellent talk by politics under the Gen Next leader, because we strongly believe Gen Next are the future of India, like the way we are focusing so much on you, that we wanted Gen Next later on to focus on the community of politics and how they can take it forward. We're asking number of exciting questions to them, and the 3 outstanding politicians are going to take part in this thing. You all know Tejasvi Surya, young parliamentarian from Karnataka, and Rajiv Satwa is also a young parliamentarian from Congress, and we also have our own Mr. Parameshivan, MLA from AIDMK, is a doctor and postgraduate degree holder and doctor. Is going to be talking to us, along with Priya, who is a Supreme Court advocate. And then on 3rd of May, again, we are having a very interesting talk, COVID-19 electoral reforms. We also want to know what it means electoral reforms. There's so many elections coming in now. How are we going to manage with the Mammoth organization with so much of restrictions, and what should we be looking at? And to talk to this, we have former Chief Election Commissioner, Mr. T.S. Krishnamurthy, is going to be talking to us. These are some of the few subjects which I thought I'll share with you. By the time our people come in, this is the time giving it to the time management for latecomers. That's the idea of sharing with you. At the same time, you can share this information with your friends and colleagues so that they don't miss this. Today, I think indeed my proud privilege to welcome Dr. Manu Vora. He has become part of our MMA. He's been so much support to MMA. I have no words to explain my express of gratitude. The way he is forthcoming, and very rarely I come across professors and of eminent come forward and so much of passion to do something for the students in the community. Thank you, Dr. Vora, and it's indeed a privilege for me to introduce you. Before I introduce Dr. Vora and the subject and also on his profile, let me tell you the good news which I would like to share with you. Dr. Vora has kindly agreed to do 3 more sessions exclusively for the students of MMA as well as for the community. And this is all a soft skill series starting today. And on Wednesday, 27th May, you will get a circular mail. I just want to tell you 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. of Indian Standard Time, effective project management. Because with the change scenario, how the project thing, because you would have lost out so much of time already, how to manage and how to realign, relook at yourself in terms of project is very, very critical path in many subjects. So that we thought we'll bring this. On Wednesday, 10th June, again 9:30 and 10:30 a.m. Effective teamwork. Teamwork is very, very important nowadays. Though the social distancing is going to impact sitting close, but doesn't mean you don't have to work as a team. A team is a part of the whole system, and he's going to show us a lot of insight on teamwork. It's happening on 10th of June. On Wednesday, 24th of June, the 9 to 10:30 a.m. again Indian Standard Time, leadership excellence. Today, all the solutions you can do. One issue what we have is leadership. We have good leaders. You can see it yourself. Some of the players where we achieved excellent results. Some of the best of the collectors who handle the situation so well. Leadership is the issue of many of the issues what we are facing today. And he's going to tell us what is the leadership excellence means. So don't miss this to join us. It's happening on 24th of June. Venkat will be sharing your detailed program with you. Please do join and come in. And coming to today's topic, effective time management. I mean, this subject doesn't require any introduction because you all know every time you ask, sir, no time. So why are you joining late, sir? Today, time is not there. But coming from the armed forces, and one thing which was taught to us, which I think I would like to share with you before I introduce Dr. Vora, is manage your health. Time becomes infinite. Actually. And we are always told you are very healthy. You are keep your mind active, keep your body active, and keep your obesity weight active, and all that you constantly manage every day. I'm able to do it even at this age. My morning walk, my health, my gym, my golf. I'm able to do that. Professor is able to do that. He also takes care of health. I will share with you how health is so important to manage your time actually. So he will give a lot of tips. Other one tip I'll share with you is manage your health. The time becomes infinite. Start going for serious jogging. Start going for your exercises. Do yoga, meditation. At least half an hour to 15 minutes you do. Look at the way your time would expand for you. And with this, let me have the privilege of introducing Dr. Vora. He is no stranger to most of you, but it's always a privilege to introduce him. Dr. Manu Vora, popularly known as Manu, is a chairman and president of Business Excellence Inc. in the USA. It's a global quality management consultancy company. He's got over 45 years of experience guiding Fortune 500 companies associated with over 80 educational institutions around the world. That is the strength what he's carrying. That's why we wanted him to speak to large number of students, because so many universities look up to him with reverence. When he comes and talk to us, I urge upon each one of you to really listen to him, and the takeaway will be phenomenal. It will do so much of good for you. In the year 2016, he was appointed as a Fulbright scholar, also a specialist by the US Department of State. He's also a BTech degree from IIT Banaras University. He's also done his MS and PhD in chemical engineering from Chicago, and MBA in marketing and management again from Chicago University. And he's also past president of ASQ and ASI fellow, and he's a sought after speaker with over 100 presentations in international fora and 5 continents and over 17 countries. He has visited and addressed the large number of students and other category of personals, and published over 70 articles, which is most sought after again. He got number of honors and awards, and for his outstanding contribution for the success and lifelong contributor as a community services. So we got a wholesome person who has done so much to the society. He's going to be talking to us on time management. Let's sit back, listen to him. Very warm welcome to you, Manu Vora. It's a pleasure having you with us, and we are all eagerly looking forward to hearing you. As usual, my dear students, if you have a question, put it in a chat box. And also, all these viewers watching this program live on YouTube, Facebook, and also in our webinar, send you a question. There's a WhatsApp number, screen running in your screen. Just send you a WhatsApp number. We have got some already. I got some outstanding, very thought-provoking questions, which I'll be requesting Mr. Manu Vora to address at the end of his presentation. Over to you, Manu Vora. We are all looking forward. Once again, very warm welcome to each one of you and Mr. Manu Vora. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Group Captain Vijay Kumar ji, for your very kind introduction. Again, special thanks to Group Captain Dr. Venkatraman, Mr. Shankar, and Mr. Sundarji for the technical support. I'm very delighted to share with you some thoughts about how to effectively manage the time. And they say either time will manage you or you manage the time. So choice is ours to make. And before we get started with the presentation, I just want to give you a brief idea about where I learned my time management skills. So when I joined in 1964, Banaras Hindu University Chemical Engineering Department, now it's IIT BHU, I had 13 subjects and 9 months to prepare, no semester. We take final exams after 9 months. And if we fail in any one of the 13 subjects, then we have to repeat the year. So fortunately, I developed a good sense of taking one chapter from a course, complete it, then move to the first chapter of a second course, so on and so forth. So more like advancing the platoon, moving towards the operation theater and be ready in time. And my goal was out of 9 months, first 8 months, finish all the study, all the reviews, and be ready so that I'm not falling behind. And luckily I had a photogenic memory. So all I had to do was review the material once. And once I do that, I was able to reproduce 100% whatever was asked from that material. So that was 56 years ago. And then again, 36 years ago at AT&T Bell Labs, I had a chance to take a course on how to get things done. So with those two backgrounds, let me share my presentation on effective time management. And as we all know, in the current day and age, we are all asked to do more in less time. So it's up to us how we manage our time so that we are most effective in getting things done. So the course I took while I was at AT&T Bell Labs, and that is 36 years ago, how to get things done. I learned that it's very important to go through each of these steps: goal setting, planning, scheduling, organizing, managing the meetings, how to delegate, how to prioritize your time, how you make the decision regarding managing your time, etc., how to say no, how to handle the interruptions, how to avoid the procrastination, and how do we collaborate with our coworkers. And even if you are in the university, how do you work with your classmates and others to have the best outcome? And sum total of these is all about time management. So let's take a few quotes as icebreaker. First one from Ralph Waldo Emerson. It says, "This time, like all times," is a very good one, if we but know what to do with it. So we need to know about how to use the time. Second one from St. Francis of Assisi. You start by doing what is necessary, then what is possible, and suddenly you are doing the impossible. So it's a step-by-step approach. Third one is the one with a little bit of a humor. I'm definitely going to take a course on time management just as soon as I can work it into my schedule, which means that is not going to happen. You're still thinking about it and things are not going to come through. Fourth one from a coach: time is free, but it is priceless. You cannot own it, but you can use it. You can't keep it, but you can spend it. Once you've lost it, you will never get it back. Now the little TV monitor is saying the bad news is time flies. At the same time, the good news is you are the pilot. So you need to navigate your time in a most appropriate way so you get the most possible outcome using the time at hand. Now, there are a couple of myths about the time management. So let's review them. People think that the time management is a very complex subject. which is not true. There are only 5 major steps like goal setting, planning, prioritizing, scheduling, and organizing. When we master these 5 steps, we are able to manage our time well. Second one, lot of time we get misguided saying that the activity is good in itself. So being busy is not the same as being effective if we spend our time on low priority item. And we are going to take it forward on this issue. Where do we focus our time on first? Important or non-important things. So we'll come to that very soon. Now there is the 80-20 rule of time management. It says the relationship between input and output is not balanced. So 20% of person's effort generates 80% of the person's results. So it's very vital to focus 20% of your time on the 80% of your work that really counts. This is known in the quality domain as a Pareto principle, 80-20 rule, vital few from trivial many. Now I'm going to share with you some of the internal time wasters which eats up our time and we fall behind in executing the things we are supposed to be doing. So at a personal level, if I don't have a discipline, I'll be wasting time away. If I'm not very decisive what to tackle first and what to tackle next, time will go away. If I'm personally disorganized, then I'm constantly looking for one thing which I could never find, and that eats up all our time. Now, this procrastination is a common issue with everybody in the world. I will do it tomorrow or the day after or the following day, and that time never arrives. Now, we all have a difficulty to say no. So keep in mind when you are doing certain activity and those are important activities you need to finish to manage your time, you cannot take on any additional thing from others who come in. You have to politely say no, and we'll cover that topic in a little bit more depth. Now, when you have people working with you and for you, try to learn how to delegate tasks which others can pick up and learn doing it so that you are freed up to do the important things you need to tackle. And of course, if we are at work or if you are doing the studies and you start doing the daydreaming, your time is running away. And when you worry too much, it only builds up stress. And in that case, you have to listen to Swami Nikhilesh talk just delivered at MMA on 30th of April about stress and mind management. Excellent talk on how to manage the stress in the current time. Now let's quickly review some of the external time wasters. I'm sure with the smart phone and all the disruptions coming in, we get interruptions through mail, through email, text messages, WhatsApp messages, you talk about it. Every minute there is a message coming in, and if you are not able to manage that properly, your time is just wasted in responding to those messages. Most of them are useless. Now we spend time socializing in the office. More frequently, people just get together around the coffee table, having some chit chat, and then the time is running away. The third one is the most deadliest, and we are going to spend time on it, attending too many meetings. And most of the meetings are not effective. When unscheduled visitor drops in while you are working on something very important, your time will be wasted. If the work environment is not proper, if the ergonomics are not good, if the environment is not good, you cannot be 100% functional. When your supervisor doesn't provide the very clear goals, then you are fumbling around what to do and what next things you are going to tackle. When you need somebody else's help in completing your task, and keep in mind that the projects are done in teams, and those teams depend on each other's contribution by the team members. So if you have to wait for somebody, you have to factor their time in as well. Now, a lot of organizations have a lot of bureaucratic red tape, and that prevents people to be very effective in managing their time. And I'm sure there are a few other things you can think of. Now, very important to quickly review the right brain versus left brain, because that has something to do with managing your time. Now, so let me begin personal level, and those of you who are engineer in the audience, the engineers are generally left brain people. So I started out 100% left brain. And for me, things are either black or white. And for me, the time flows in a monochromic order, do one thing and then go on to another. Over the years, I've learned to come in the middle, and the right brain people are the people who have the artistic talent. They have ability to see options at every turn. And for them, they can see through the gray area. For them, it's rarely either black or white. And for them, the time is polychromic with many things happening simultaneously. Now, there is nothing wrong or right about what type of orientation you have, but you need to know either you are left brain or you are a right brain person, and then utilize that to do the best with managing the time. Now we are getting into some very specific items one need to manage. So with respect to time management, we need to set SMART goals. And SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. So the bottom line is we need to set and achieve the time management goals. So whatever you plan, it has to be very specific. You should be able to measure it in the chunk of time. It should be achievable, not pie in the sky. Make it very realistic, and it should be time bound. Certain time you're going to finish certain activity and then keep moving on. So let's talk about the first aspect in terms of the planning after you have set the goal. So what I generally do is when I'm working on a project and certain activities during the day, and by the way, as Captain mentioned, manage your health, it will give you infinite time. So I do fair amount of walking, almost about 2 to 2.5 hours of walk every day inside the house. So I can do it all 365 days, anytime in the day. So whatever project I'm working on, I visualize during those walk, what is the end goal and how am I going to achieve it? How much time will be needed to do major aspects of the work? And you take the overall project and break it down into small pieces using the project management technique. Then for each of those subtasks, develop a schedule. And while you start working on those subtasks in managing your time every day, you check your progress against the estimate you had put in. And if you need to readjust your schedule, do that depending on how the work is coming along. And always look for any possible problems, because whatever you plan, it will never be executed 100%. So plan your work and work your plan. Very simple thing, but it requires effort. And Dr. Deming's cycle, plan, do, study, act. Everything begins with the planning. If we do plan well, then it will help us in executing that plan very well. Third item is the prioritizing. So consider 4 buckets. Things coming to you, you need to do it, put it in the do bucket. Second item is you can always do it, but you have people who are working with you and for you. So you start delegating the items on a judicious basis, and we'll cover that in a little bit more depth soon. Third, delay. You have to do it, but you don't have a time because you are tied up with a very important item at the moment. So you put it on a yellow sticky paper and delay it, say, I'll come to it after a week, and definitely go back and clear it out. And lot of things coming into our inbox should go into the fourth basket, that is dump. That thing should not see the light of the day. It should go in the revolving basket and thrown out. So when we begin to prioritize our time and work on important things, that is going to give us the most value. Now, continuing on the prioritizing, I'm sharing with you the Eisenhower box. On the y-axis, either it's important or not important. On the x-axis, urgent or not urgent. So the quadrant that matters the most is the important and not urgent, top right. And this is the area where you can do all the planning, all the training, researching, and develop the long-term plans, long-term strategy, etc. Do some exercising and try to relax a little bit when good work is done. So about 90 to 95% time should be spent in important but not urgent area, top right quadrant. Important and urgent, the top left quadrant. You spend between 5 to 10%, and this is firefighting. You don't want to spend all your time in firefighting things. And later on, I'll share with you on 18th of March 2016, I gave a effective time management talk from the Bizek studio in Gandhinagar. So I'll come back to you on that. Now, continuing on the prioritizing, what we learned from the Eisenhower box is focus on important things first. Address the urgent, get it out of the way, and accomplish what you can early. That gives you confidence, so you are going to continue to accomplish more throughout the day, and attach the deadlines to the things you have delayed. Now, here are some practical tips. In order to do proper prioritization, keep in mind to have a to-do list on a daily basis. So first thing, the day before, in the evening before I retire, I make a list of things to be done next day. And what will go as a first one or two item, the most important thing I need to accomplish on the next day. So once I start the new day, I look at the list and look at the first one or two items which are the most important I need to accomplish that day, and check it off at the end of the day. Item 3, 4, 5, etc. will not be that important. So if I don't get to it, I'm okay. But the most important item must be tackled, and keep working with this kind of to-do list, which will give you more like a roadmap to remain on track. And you can extend it by having a weekly, monthly, and annual plans. And there are so many resources available. Using your smartphone, you can plan everything and keep it on one area or on your laptop, etc. And focus on outcome, not just the actions. So at the end of the day, the results count, not just the activities you are doing. Activities are needed, but the results count at the end of the day. Now at this point, I'll request Mr. Sundar and Mr. Shankar to play the YouTube. I'll stop sharing. It's a 5-minute short YouTube on time management, how to manage your time more effectively according to machines. It's a very interesting TED Ed talk by Brian. So we'll see the YouTube playing shortly.
In the summer of 1997, NASA's Pathfinder spacecraft landed on the surface of Mars and began transmitting incredible, iconic images back to Earth. But several days in, something went terribly wrong. The transmissions stopped. Pathfinder was, in effect, procrastinating, keeping itself fully occupied, but failing to do its most important work. What was going on? There was a bug, it turned out, in its scheduler. Every operating system has something called the scheduler that tells the CPU how long to work on each task before switching, and what to switch to. Done right, computers move so fluidly between their various responsibilities, they give the illusion of doing everything simultaneously. But we all know what happens when things go wrong. This should give us, if nothing else, some measure of consolation. Even computers get overwhelmed sometimes. Maybe learning about the computer science of scheduling can give us some ideas about our own human struggles with time. One of the first insights is that all the time you spend prioritizing your work is time you aren't spending doing it. For instance, let's say when you check your inbox, you scan all the messages, choosing which is the most important. Once you've dealt with that one, you repeat. Seems sensible, but there's a problem here. This is what's known as a quadratic time algorithm. With an inbox that's twice as full, these passes will take twice as long, and you'll need to do twice as many of them. This means 4 times the work. The programmers of the operating system Linux encountered a similar problem in 2003. Linux would rank every single one of its tasks in order of importance, and sometimes spent more time ranking tasks than doing them. The programmer's counterintuitive solution was to replace this full ranking with a limited number of priority buckets. The system was less precise about what to do next, but more than made up for it by spending more time making progress. So with your emails, insisting on always doing the very most important thing first could lead to a meltdown. Waking up to an inbox 3 times fuller than normal could take 9 times longer to clear. You'd be better off replying in chronological order or even at random. Surprisingly, sometimes giving up on doing things in the perfect order may be the key to getting them done. Another insight that emerges from computer scheduling has to do with one of the most prevalent features of modern life, interruptions. When a computer goes from one task to another, it has to do what's called a context switch, bookmarking its place in one task, moving old data out of its memory, and new data in. Each of these actions comes at a cost. The insight here is that there's a fundamental trade-off between productivity and responsiveness. Getting serious work done means minimizing context switches, but being responsive means reacting anytime something comes up. These two principles are fundamentally in tension. Recognizing this tension allows us to decide where we want to strike that balance. The obvious solution is to minimize interruptions. The less obvious one is to group them. If no notification or email requires a response more urgently than once an hour, say, then that's exactly how often you should check them. No more. In computer science, this idea goes by the name of interrupt coalescing. Rather than dealing with things as they come up, oh, the mouse was moved, a key was pressed, more of that file downloaded, the system groups these interruptions together based on how long they can afford to wait. In 2013, interrupt coalescing triggered a massive improvement in laptop battery life. This is because deferring interruptions lets a system check everything at once, then quickly re-enter a low-power state. As with computers, so it is with us. Perhaps adopting a similar approach might allow us users to reclaim our own attention and give us back one of the things that feels so rare in modern life: rest. Are you interested in improving your own time and task management skills? If so, we highly recommend you check out Algorithms to Live By, The Computer Science of Human Decisions. You can download an audio version of the book for free at audible.com/TEDEd, and every free trial created encourages Audible to continue supporting TEDEd's nonprofit mission.
Okay, we are done with the YouTube here. So the message there was planning is okay, but you need to focus on action and execution. And this is the constant theme we need to keep in mind, that we need both planning as well as the execution as well. Now I'm going back to the same slide and then keep moving forward. Next item is scheduling. So the bottom line is we need to have a very realistic deadlines to be set on items we are going to accomplish on a daily basis. And key is allow adequate time for all stages of the work, then review the schedule and revise often based on how the progress is happening throughout the day. Keep in mind you are in charge, not the schedule. So examine your schedule, be realistic about what you can accomplish. And keep in mind, none of us are superhuman. So do not try to juggle too many things and don't set yourself up for failure. A couple of important topics here. We will go into a little bit more depth soon. Finding your creating and thinking time. And during that time, you want to make use of that time ruthlessly so that you spend on important things and nothing else. And at the same time, find out your dead time. Generally, it's after lunch or when you have a meal. Your body is not functioning 100%. You schedule meetings, take off all the phones which are waiting, and do some mundane stuff to make use of that dead time. Now let's talk something very serious issue about managing the meetings. Now, before we get started here, this is one of the deadliest sin of people all over the world, where a lot of time is consumed in the meetings and most of the meetings are not that effective. There's an interesting book written by Patrick Lencioni. Title is very enticing, Death by Meeting. So what he says that according to the book, most of the meetings around the world are ineffective. And by the way, they are boring also. So people spend time in meetings and meetings, but nothing substantial comes out of it. And you think of the leaders at the higher up in the organization, they spend enormous amount of time in the meeting, maybe 70, 80, 90, up to 100% of the times in the meeting. They are paid handsomely. And if those meetings are not effective, that is a waste of resource for the organization. So to begin with, one need to question the need and frequency of the meetings and find out whether do you really need to have a meeting and do you really need to attend the meeting. If you can send out a communication, send out an email, put it up on internet and get the message out about something you want to announce to everybody, you don't need the meeting. But meeting is essential when you are working on some critical issue and you need the input from other people whose input is critical in making the final decision. Always try to remember to set the agenda in advance and only invite the right people, not all your friends who are coming in just to have some food and enjoy tea and coffee, etc. Need to have a person who is going to be the facilitator, who will keep the discussion on target. Try to keep the meetings brief, generally about 30 minutes or so on a given topic. Have the record of the agenda, decisions, and designated follow-up. So basically, you need to have a very short meeting summary prepared. And what you do is focus on the front end, on the PAL, purpose, agenda, and the limit. Means meeting starts on time, meeting ends on time. And at the back end, you need to really have great planning, participation, and follow-up. Now, keep in mind, the research shows that to have 1 hour of effective meeting, the person who is the one planning the meeting spends almost 10 hours of his or her time, simply because the person has to prepare everything and have all the material ready. So when the right people are in the meeting, they are not looking for any more information. They are looking at the information provided and make the effective decisions based on the data information provided in a digestible way. Avoid time waster meetings. Make sure it's a working meeting with a specific agenda. Now, one of the students from Honeywell in my MBA class here mentioned that they have a standing rule that if the agenda for a meeting doesn't show up 48 hours in advance, they are excused not to attend the meeting. And make sure that meeting ends on time and achieves all the objectives set out to be achieved for that particular meeting. Normally what happens, meeting starts late, key people do not show up, so you have to repeat for them. And by the time you are coming to an end, about half the important agenda and objectives are missing and not completed. And then you are setting up next meeting, and then you are out to run for another meeting. So that endless meeting is not accomplishing much. Important guidance about telephone meetings: keep it short, and you should stand during making a call and treat the calls as a business meeting itself. Announce the goal, either you are calling or somebody is calling. Make sure there is a specific goal to achieve in that short conversation. Do not be very comfortable by putting your feet up on the table. Keep something in view so that after the call is over, you are going to tackle that item, and keep smiling. That smile is contagious over the phone line. Now, here is some interesting stat from the Harvard Business Review. So meetings are the scourge of the modern business life, consuming 62 hours per month of employees' time on an average, and fully half of that time is estimated to be a waste. In other words, 40% of the working time is spent in meetings 2 days per week, and half of that, that is 1 day per week, is estimated to be waste. So you are only functioning with 80%, 20% is wasted. Now, as opposed to that, think about Google as a company which allows all the employees 1 day a week for free thinking time. They don't need to think about work they are doing, but they are given all the freedom to think about some new activity, new ideas, which can generate more innovative products and services for Google as a company. So always remember, if you attend the meeting, it should be important and it should be run in a proper way with the proper agenda, time limit, etc. In terms of organization, back to the to-do list and keep it in the priority order. Very important to deal with your paperwork and email once and do it at a scheduled time. Like we heard on the YouTube, that you do it at certain time of the day, clearing the email and paperwork. Use the stage filing method, which is have a task, subtask, etc. You can do that electronically as well in the various folders, subfolder. Make use of technology very wisely. Continue to manage your professional reading when you have some time. Always have good organized workspace, and each one of you have your own mental model, so manage it properly. And always remember project management technique. Anything which is requiring a lot of time, you need to chunk it down and make sure each chunk you are working on it in the right sequence, and manage your calendar properly. Delegation. As I made comment early on, if you have people reporting to you and if they are available, delegate certain things to them which will free up your time. And that delegation has to be done appropriately, gradually, and strategically. And only show them the end post. Don't tell them how to do it. Just tell them what is expected and give them the timeline and set up some checkpoints in between and ensure that there are no roadblocks. And if they need any resources, give it to them. And when they achieve something positive, give them the credit. important thing, learn how to say no. Bottom line is you cannot do everything yourself. And we need to recognize our limit and be honest and vocal about why we are not able to do it now. So take a very simple example. You are sitting down for a meal, either it's a lunch or a dinner. Your plate is almost full, and then either the mother comes around and says, okay, take some more. Now, physically, you cannot take any more than what you have on the plate. And that's the same metaphor we have to think about in managing the task and the time. You already, your commitment of important items you need to accomplish for the day before you go home from the work, or in the current time, you are working from home or studying from home. You cannot take on any additional activities because that will disrupt and it will not give you full confidence to complete what you already have on your plate. So remember, you don't have to take on additional thing when your plate is full, but you do need to tell the other person who is requesting your help why you cannot do it now, but when you have time, you will get back to the person and do it. Handling interruptions, and this is important to keep in mind. So if I'm working on a very crucial deadline to submit, I make myself inaccessible. And if I'm working in the corporate setting, and if I'm in a cubicle or in a room, just put a note that for 1 week, I'm not accessible. I'm on a special project and deadline is approaching. But do send me an email or leave a message. And whenever my major deadline has passed, I'll be able to help you. Avoiding procrastination. Few good thoughts here. Doing things at the last minute is much more expensive than just before the last minute. And nobody works best under the pressure all the time. And keep in mind, emergency on your part does not become urgency on someone else's part. So this is about dependency. You are doing certain work, you need somebody else's help. Think about it ahead of time. Don't wait until the last minute and go to that other person and tell them that I need your help right away. Drop everything what you are doing. That is not going to happen. And important to remember, you are setting the deadline, so you are in charge. Another nugget here is a lot of time we don't want to do certain things which we don't like to do. So we are avoiding it. The simple idea is to you prioritize them and try to tackle one item from that list you are avoiding every day until you catch up. And again, project management things will come in handy. And don't try to be a perfectionist. Take a break at the end when you have done some good work. Collaboration, very important in the workplace. Build on the idea of others. Ask for the help when you need it, and try to work in a collaborative way. Consider your personal prime time. So I'm getting very good creative ideas at certain time in the morning after breakfast. After lunch, I'm not 100%, but in the evening after dinner, I spend a couple of hours when I'm fully productive. And a lot of people, either the students or the software engineers, etc., they work late into the night. So that is their personal prime time. Multitasking, if you are on a public transport, you have some time, you read something, keep a short diary with you. So write down some thoughts about things you are working on, waiting for at the doctor's office, waiting for your plane, while you are on a hold in a phone, and when you are early at a appointment, make use of your time wisely. So to wrap up time management review, one need to set goals appropriate for managing your time on a daily basis. Prioritize them, important item first, organize your day, learn when to say no, use your waiting time properly. Now, key to multitasking is concentrate on the task at hand. Now, multitasking means you are going to do various activities, but not everything at the same time. You take one item, tackle it completely, move to the next item, and continue to tackle many balls juggling in the air. Consider personal prime time and celebrate your success. Now, there is a interesting thing I saw on a Facebook one time, very nice definition of time. So let me share it with you. Time is slow when you wait. Time is fast when you are late. Time is deadly when you are sad. Time is short when you are happy. Time is endless when you are in pain. Time is long when you feel bored. Every time is determined by your feelings and your psychological conditions and not by clocks. So have a nice time always. As I mentioned, Swami Nikhilesh in the top right in the middle, he was with the Ramakrishna Mission in Vadodara. Now he has gone to Rajkot Mission. He took me to Bizek Studio in Gandhinagar, capital of Gujarat, where we connected with Commissioner Mr. Ajay Shah. He is retired now, Commissioner of Higher Education, Government of Gujarat. And via satellite, we connected with 450 colleges and 5 lakh students listened to the effective time management talk live. And that is recorded on YouTube as well. Now, I'm coming towards the end of the presentation. I'm going to make it brief. This is the courtesy Swami Nikhilesh from Ramakrishna Ashram Rajkot, time management alphabet A to Z. I'm going to take few items very quickly, and then rest you can read through when you see the recording. A, very important, analyze your time management goals. So that is goal setting. C, combine task. Certain things you can club it together. That will allow you to speed up things. G, gossip, avoid at all costs because that is wasting your time. And K, very important, keep to the time, punctual. M, manage your physical health, critical, because when you are healthy, you are going to accomplish many more things. When health is not good, you are not going to be able to do anything, and your time will be just wasting away, waiting to get better. And now or never. Always be proactive, decide to act. Q, quit unnecessary time wasters. Utilize all the aids available to you, alarm clock, planning calendar, etc. And W, avoid waste of your time. And yes, Y, have a self-confidence and positive attitude for your task. So now we will have the last YouTube. So I'll stop sharing, and Mr. Shankar will play the YouTube. Go ahead.
When people find out I write about time management, they assume two things. One is that I'm always on time, and I'm not. I have 4 small children, and I would like to blame them for my occasional tardiness, but sometimes it's just not their fault. I was once late to my own speech on time management. We all had to just take a moment together and savor that irony. The second thing they assume is that I have lots of tips and tricks for saving bits of time here and there. Sometimes I'll hear from magazines that are doing a story along these lines, generally on how to help their readers find an extra hour in the day. And the idea is that we'll shave bits of time off everyday activities, add it up, and we'll have time for the good stuff. And I question the entire premise of this piece, but I'm always interested in hearing what they've come up with before they call me. So some of my favorites: doing errands in a way where you only have to make right-hand turns, being extremely judicious in microwave usage, so it says 3 to 3.5 minutes on the package. We're totally getting in on the bottom side of that. And my personal favorite, which makes sense on some level, is to DVR your favorite shows so you can fast forward through the commercials. And that way you save about 8 minutes every half hour. So in the course of 2 hours of watching TV, you find 32 minutes to exercise, which is true. You know another way to find 32 minutes to exercise? Don't watch 2 hours of TV a day, right? Anyway, the idea is we'll save bits of time here and there, add it up, and we'll finally get to everything we want to do. But after studying how successful people spend their time and looking at their schedules hour by hour, I think this idea has it completely backward. We don't build the lives we want by saving time. We build the lives we want, and then time saves itself. Here's what I mean. I recently did a time diary project looking at 1,001 days in the lives of extremely busy women. They had demanding jobs, sometimes their own businesses, kids to care for, maybe parents to care for, community commitments, busy, busy people. I had them keep track of their time for weeks so I could add up how much they worked and slept, and I interviewed them about their strategies for my book. One of the women whose time log I studied, she goes out for Wednesday night for something. She comes home to find that her water heater has broken, and there is now water all over her basement. If you've ever had anything like this happen to you, you know it is a hugely damaging, frightening, sopping mess. So she's dealing with the immediate aftermath that night. Next day, she's got plumbers coming in. Day after that, professional cleaning crew dealing with the ruined carpet. All this is being recorded on her time log, winds up taking 7 hours of her week. 7 hours. That's like finding an extra hour in the day. But I'm sure if you had asked her at the start of the week, could you find 7 hours to train for a triathlon? Could you find 7 hours to mentor 7 worthy people? I'm sure she would have said what most of us would have said, which is no. Can't you see how busy I am? Yet when she had to find 7 hours because there is water all over her basement, she found 7 hours. And what this shows us is that time is highly elastic. We cannot make more time, but time will stretch to accommodate what we choose to put into it. And so the key to time management is treating our priorities as the equivalent of that broken water. And to get at this, I like to use some language from one of the busiest people I ever interviewed. By busy, I mean she was running a small business of 12 people on the payroll. She had 6 children in her spare time. I was getting in touch with her to set up an interview on how she had it all, that phrase. I remember it was a Thursday morning and she was not available to speak with me, of course, right? But the reason she was unavailable to speak with me is that she was out for a hike because it was a beautiful spring morning and she wanted to go for a hike. So of course, this makes me even more intrigued. And when I finally do catch up with her, she explains it like this. She says, listen, Laura, everything I do, every minute I spend is my choice. And rather than say, I don't have time to do X, Y, or Z, she'd say, I don't do X, Y, or Z because it's not a priority. I don't have time often means it's not a priority. If you think about it, that's really more accurate language. I mean, I could tell you I don't have time to dust my blinds, but that's not true. If you offered to pay me $100,000 to go dust my blinds, I would get to it pretty quickly. Since that is not going to happen, I can acknowledge this is not a matter of lacking time. It's that I don't want to do it. Using this language reminds us that time is a choice. And granted, there may be horrible consequences for making different choices. I will give you that. But we are smart people, and certainly over the long run, we have the power to fill our lives with the things that deserve to be there. So how do we do that? How do we treat our priorities as the equivalent of that broken water heater? Well, first we need to figure out what they are. And I want to give you 2 strategies for thinking about this. The first, on the professional side, I'm sure many people coming up to the end of the year are giving or getting annual performance reviews. You look back over your successes over the year, your opportunities for growth, and this serves its purpose, but I find it's more effective to do this looking forward. So I want you to pretend it's the end of next year. You're giving yourself a performance review, and it has been an absolutely amazing year for you professionally. What 3 to 5 things did you do that made it so amazing? So you can write next year's performance review now. And you can do this for your personal life too. I'm sure many of you, like me, come December, get cards that contain these folded up sheets of colored paper, on which is written what is known as the family holiday letter. bit of a wretched genre of literature, really, going on about how amazing everyone in the household is, or even more scintillating, how busy everyone in the household is. But these letters serve a purpose, which is that they tell your friends and family what you did in your personal life that mattered to you over the course of the year. So this year's kind of done, but I want you to pretend it's the end of next year. And it has been an absolutely amazing year for you and the people you care about. What 3 to 5 things did you do that made it so amazing? So you can write next year's family holiday letter now. Don't send it. Please don't send it. But you can write it. And now between the performance review and the family holiday letter, we have a list of 6 to 10 goals we can work on in the next year. And now we need to break these down into doable steps. So maybe you want to write a family history. Well, first you can read some other family histories, get a sense for the style. Then maybe think about the questions you want to ask your relatives, set up appointments to interview them. Or maybe you want to run a 5K. So you need to find a race and sign up and figure out a training plan and dig those shoes out of the back of the closet. And then, this is key. We treat our priorities as the equivalent of that broken water heater by putting them into our schedules first. And we do this by thinking through our weeks before we are in them. I find a really good time to do this is Friday afternoons. Friday afternoon is what an economist might call a low opportunity cost time. Most of us are not sitting there on Friday afternoon saying, I am excited to make progress toward my personal and professional priorities right now. But we are willing to think about what those should be. So take a little bit of time Friday afternoon, make yourself a 3-category priority list: career, relationships, self. Making a 3-category list reminds us that there should be something in all 3 categories. Career we think about, relationships, self, not so much. But anyway, just a short list, 2 to 3 items in each. Then look out over the whole of the next week and see where you can plan them in. Where you plan them in is up to you. And I know this is going to be more complicated for some people than others. I mean, some people's lives are just harder than others. It's not going to be easy to find time to take that poetry class if you are caring for multiple children on your own. I get that. And I don't want to minimize anyone's struggle. But I do think that the numbers I am about to tell you are empowering. There are 168 hours in a week. 24 times 7 is 168 hours. That is a lot of time. If you are working a full-time job, so 40 hours a week, sleeping 8 hours a night, so 56 hours a week, that leaves 72 hours for other things. That is a lot of time. You say you're working 50 hours a week, maybe a main job and a side hustle. Well, that leaves 62 hours for other things. You say you're working 60 hours. Well, that leaves 52 hours for other things. You say you're working more than 60 hours. Well, are you sure? There was once a study comparing people's estimated work weeks with time diaries, found that people claiming 75+ hour work weeks were off by about 25 hours. You can guess in which direction, right? Anyway, in 168 hours a week, I think we can find time for what matters to you. If you want to spend more time with your kids, you want to study more for a test you're taking, you want to exercise for 3 hours and volunteer for 2, you can. And that's even if you're working way more than full-time hours. So we have plenty of time, which is great because guess what? We don't even need that much time to do amazing things. But when most of us have bits of time, what do? Pull out the phone, right? Start deleting emails, or otherwise we're puttering around the house or watching TV. But small moments can have great power. You can use your bits of time for bits of joy. Maybe it's choosing to read something wonderful on the bus on the way to work. I know when I had a job that required 2 bus rides and a subway ride every morning, I used to go to the library on weekends to get stuff to read. Made the whole experience almost enjoyable. Breaks at work can be used for meditating or praying. If family dinner is out because of your crazy work schedule, maybe family breakfast could be a good substitute. It's about looking at the whole of one's time and seeing where the good stuff can go. I truly believe this. There is time. Even if we are busy, we have time for what matters. And when we focus on what matters, we can build the lives we want in the time we've got. Thank you.
Okay. So with that, we are ready for questions, Captain. And I'll go to the chat box.
One thing before move to the questions, I have a small request for you. Are
Okay.
you able to hear me? Yes. Yeah, I have a request for you. A lot of our management students from Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, and even something, the accent of the TEDx thing, not many could have followed as we wished to them. Can you nutshell, brief them what exactly came out of the TED speak? I know it's very, very important content. In nutshell, just for a minute or two, then I think people will be able to appreciate that better.
Sure.
You mind doing that, Doctor, for me?
No problem. So this is the second TED Talk given by Laura. What she's talking about is that we have 168 hours a week. Now, when we try to prioritize our time, we can tackle those issues. So one example she gave about her friend was very busy working professional, but her water heater broke. So there was water all over in the basement, and she had to spend 7 hours of her time that week to get the water heater fixed with outside help. So if you ask the person who is very busy that can you spend 7 hours that week per week to do something else, the answer is no. But when something is very important, you will make that 7 hours time available. So I'll put it in the context at the personal level. Like about 2011, I had a health condition which essentially grounded me. So I was at home. And then I realized that I need to be keeping up with my health. So I started walking in the house with the sports shoes on. And that allowed me to make use of my time, at the same time allowed me to have better condition for the health side. And then I have continued and I actually raised my walking time. I generally do about 2.5 hours of walk because it's important at my stage in life. And as I mentioned last time, I'll be completing 75 end of October. So I need to remain fit. I need to be healthy. I need to be energetic so that I can do more of these things to help our friends in India, students, professionals, as well as here. And I teach actively at a number of places at universities here. So it's all about what is important in life, then we spend time about it. If it is not important, our time will go away watching TV, talking on the phone, doing mundane thing, which has no impact at the end of the day. So that was the essence of that TED Talk, that find something which is important to you, you will make time for it. And that is one simple recipe, and always try to adjust the time based on what the priority at hand and do your best. And try to think about helping others using your time. And I think that's a message Swamiji gave very eloquently in his talk on 30th of April, that when we try to think about helping others, we get help. At the same time, we forget about what difficulties we are going through. And that is a very good side benefit of helping others. And that requires spending your time thinking about others and helping them. So I would leave it at that. I hope that gives you the quick sense of what.
It's clearly a lot of clarity. I think you said follow it. It's a recipe for success. You don't follow it, that's a disaster for you. So we got some questions. I got lots of questions which I'll come to you. Would you like to first go through the chat box? Mr. Manikantan asked, any suggestion for making personal time, whether morning, afternoon, evening, which one is good?
Yeah, I think it depends on the person. So as I mentioned, at the personal level, I'm very good after my breakfast and after I've done some walks. So my system is in full gear. So I do some very creative work. And then when I've taken the meal, generally it's a little late, After that, I'm not 100%, so I do some mundane thing. And then right after dinner, I have a couple of hours of very special time where I can do something very creative. So I get about 4 to 5 hours a day, very, very creative time. And that's where I accomplish 80% of my results by spending my prime time. So there's no good answer to it, whether morning, afternoon, evening, or late night. It depends on you and your circumstance. So currently, due to shelter in place, we have grandkids with us. So during the day, I don't find much time, but once they are asleep, then I find time to work on my things. So that is again at a personal level. Now, how do you plan time when we have multiple conflict tasks? MMM member is asking.
Yes.
So I think one of the way to look at it is you look at multiple tasks and see which one has the highest priority, what is the most important. And when you are working for somebody, you can always refer to your supervisor. When you have 10 things to do, ask your supervisor, manager, what are the most important thing I need to tackle first? So get some guidance. If you are working on your own thing, you should get a sense of what is important and what impact each of those important items will give you. And that's how you organize it and get to it. And again, as we saw in the first TED talk, it's not keep planning about it, but you have to get down to business of doing it. Execution is very key, and this we will recapture in the next talk on effective project management. Plans are important, but if you don't execute the plan, you're not getting any results. And this is where I think we do much better, much more better in India, where execution is generally lacking. There are lots of plan on the table, but you don't see the results because there's no execution. Very simple.
That's a question from Shushmita. She wants to know some
Yeah.
light on how to get motivated on a lazy day, how to get rid of unmotivated to get back to track and regain that spark.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think what you do is you really need to have some downtime also, right? So during the week, I'm using the weekend at least few hours to watch TV, etc. And even with my busy schedule, I do watch some special programs on the TV as well. So it's a question of keeping the balance, right? You accomplish what you need to do first. You get the satisfaction, you accomplish important things. Now you have a little bit of free time. You spend time with the family members and then spend some time on watching your favorite program, etc. Do some health activity. So mix it up. Variety is a spice of life. If you just keep doing one thing and then it becomes boring and mundane, then you will not be as energetic, as enthusiastic about it. So I keep using the variety. And basically, by the way, my name Manu, which is the first person ever born according to Indian mythology, allows me to get into many new things. So I always enjoy doing many new things simultaneously. And that's where I get excited, keep myself motivated to do more and achieve more things as we go along. Okay, more questions coming. In business, priority changes dynamically before the end of the day and result when analyzing. Few days, I find a lot of time taken away by delegating. Is there any alternative? Yeah, so the delegation is a key issue. So the central idea is you want to develop your people. You can keep doing it yourself, but then there is an end to it, right? You cannot do everything all the time yourself. You will run out of time eventually. So you want to develop your people. You take small piece of action, give it to others who will work on it. And at the same time, you tell them what is expected, show them the end post, keep the checkpoints in, and make sure that the work is getting done. Because if the work is not done, you still have to do it at the end because you are responsible for it. So delegation is important, and we need to start doing that. And that's a part of leadership. So think about your top leader, president, CMD, etc. they cannot do everything themselves. They have delegated work to each and every other individual in the organization, and then they get it reviewed and they make sure that the results are coming in. So very important to delegate. Next one, last 2-3 years, you are saying that soon all the bricks and mortar university will perish from the face of the earth. So is the pandemic going to be the last blow to this university? And is this the time to completely shift ourselves to the technology modes? This is from my friend Sushil Yadav from IIT-BHU. So I think this is the projection that more and more people are going online. Only the top brand university will remain as a brick and mortar. The rest of them either will close the door or shift to online mode. And during the pandemic, I think we have all begun to learn how to adjust to the technology, and particularly in the US, all the universities have gone online. Starting in April, every university here, they required all the faculty to change their curriculum from on-site to online, and the classes are going on. And particularly currently I'm engaged in teaching 2 classes. One is about halfway done. The other one will start in few weeks, everything online. So that's the way of the future. And we need to think through. In India, we have advantage. We have the technology edge. Software, we need to have a mindset to leverage that technology and create that platform, learning platform, so that we can deliver it. And secondly, it will require good connectivity in the rural areas where the students come from. So we need to be mindful about the bandwidth and providing the internet access. Okay, talk about the fear of losing time. Okay, so when you keep fearing about something, you are wasting time again, and it builds up stress. Instead of doing that, figure out what you need to accomplish that day. You start with one day at a time. What is the important things? Make a list of to do, and put 1 or 2 top items which are the most important, accomplish them. Whatever time you have planned for it, scheduled for it, it may not be exactly the same time. You have to keep adjusting it. Once you have done that part and you will feel good, next day you keep repeating it, then it will become habit. Okay, how to estimate deadline time? Okay, so it will depend upon given task, right? So if you are on a project and there are certain steps you need to accomplish as a team member, you make an estimate based on your prior experience, as well as looking at the complexity of things to be accomplished. You make an estimate, and keep in mind, estimates are never 100% right. Whatever estimate you have made, there'll be a little bit of padding in there. But after you accomplish that task, you will get a little confidence how much actual time you spent. So next time when you are making an estimate, you will be doing a little bit better, learning from the first time you did it. How to get the work being done within deadline. Yeah. So deadline forces you to accomplish things you need to do, right? So for example, I had to complete the syllabus for the new course I am starting in 2 weeks. So I put my internal deadline 11th yesterday, and I made it available today on the 12th, external deadline. So always have an internal deadline. Before the external deadline, day or 2 before, you need to finish everything, review it, make sure nothing is left undone, so that your work is 100% right. And you need to be watching out for the output and the quality of your work, so that others don't have to criticize you and you are doing the right work at the right time. Next question, as a student, we'll get some goals for long period. If we deviate from the goal after that, we feel difficult to focus on goal again. How to overcome this? So one of the things I think we need to think about, and this is from the previous session, there was a TED talk about grit. So having a passion for something and then having a long-term goal to achieve your passion in the long term. That is called grit, G-R-I-T. So what we need to do is keep a long-term goal for our life. Don't worry about small setbacks here and there, but have a long-term goal and work on the things which you are very passionate about. What excites you, what gives you more positive energy. You take on those items and, for example, leverage your strength. So as I mentioned, I was good with chemistry and mathematics, so I chose chemical engineering as my area of study. And I was able to do very well because both subjects were very close to me, and I don't have to read too much because a lot of these things, because of the interest, I would understand the things very simply. So focus on your strength, do good planning, and focus on a long-term goal, and enlist good mentors which can help you when you are having some difficulties. Talk it through to your friends, your mentors, your faculty, etc. So take help from others. You are
So
not
one last
alone.
question from the chat box. Then I got a couple of questions which I'll read out to you, which has come from
Sure,
other.
sure. There are a few more here.
How to start the time
Throw
management
some light
initiative.
on how to get motivated on lazy days. I think we have covered that.
Yes.
How to
Last
start
question: how to start time management initially?
Yeah. So that time management, and you can start anytime, right? It's never too late. If you have not done it before, start with the to-do list. Think about what is important, tackle those things, learn from your experience, and keep refining your techniques. And always tell others what important things you are working on, because they will essentially give you some support. If they can do it, any support they can provide in helping you, they will come forward. Family members at the personal level, at the workplace, you can tell to your colleagues, and you should definitely let your boss know what important things you are working on. And when you are getting blocked, you get help from them.
There are questions which has come for the evening talk, sir. So you can ignore them. Actually, I noted down. I'll put them. That is for Mr. Veerappa talk this evening. Actually.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
let me ask you. There's a couple of questions. He says, my telephone is constantly ringing, and the members of my staff are popping in, popping out in a room all day. How do I find time to myself without cutting my lines of communication with my subordinates?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think one so if you have a resource available to take your phone calls, allow the person to take all your calls and note down what is important and when they called and what is required to be done. And then schedule your time slot. Say, for example, half hour during your dead time, after lunch, etc., you start calling them and clear your deck, because constantly attending to the phone is wasting away your time, right? And you have important thing to accomplish for the day. So make use of the technology. Now, if you don't have any subordinate, let the phone go into the messaging, turn the volume down, and scan all the messages at certain time of the day. And if something was very, very critical, then that person will message you in a different way, not calling you, but sending you a text message, SMS, etc., or WhatsApp message. Then you can attend to it. But routine phone calls, you should let it go on the recording. That's what we do at home.
Super, sir.
When the phone,
Yes,
yeah.
we got a couple of questions from our other viewers.
Yeah.
My workload varies. Some weeks I don't have enough to do. Others I'm overloaded and overburdened. What can I do to smoothen things out, to plan it out actually?
Yeah. So when you have a extra time, you should try to think about improving your reading list. So you make a good reading list while you have spare time, read good things, read about leaders, read about effective time management, discipline, read about the good things about leaders who have done wonderful work in different domains, learn from them. That will give you some positive energy. Now, when you have very busy schedule, remember the thing you need to accomplish, you have to set the direction yourself, right? You are given a lot of load for the whole week. So you should be able to adjust it on a daily basis certain activities you need to accomplish. And if there is any sequencing needed, you need to put it in the right sequence. So you do certain thing first, get it done, and then that thing will be helpful in accomplishing the next few more things you need to do the next day, etc. So all the planning is to be done properly and then get to action. Don't keep just waiting, and then stress will build up. And on the day 5, you don't have enough to show and your boss will be unhappy. So do the plan on a proper basis. And if you have to stretch yourself for a day or so, do it, and then get back on track to manage your time on a daily basis.
Excellent, sir. So this is one thing which is commonly happen in many offices. My subordinates are in and out of my office in a droves, seeking reassurances and many clarifications all the time. How can I supervise their work while getting on with my own without interruption my time?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is about setting the expectation, right? So if you are running a team of say 7, 8 people, first of all, you need to understand each person's strength, what they are capable of, and also ask for their interest as a volunteer. So when the task needs to be given to them, you first find out who wants to volunteer for it, and then match up the task with their strength, and then give them very clear direction. What is expected and what is the timeline, when it's expected, and tell them to use their talent to tackle the issue. If they are blocked, then only they should come and ask you the question. If not, they should prefer to do it themselves. If not, work with the other team members and solve the problem. So I'll give you a practical example. I'm running a number of teams in my classes. Each team I mention that there are various levels. That there is a leader, there's a communicator, there's a researcher, and an editor. Only the communicator will communicate with me for on behalf of the team what the questions they have. So I don't allow all members of the team to come and bother me as a sponsor of the project. Only a communicator will work with the team members and pose the right questions, and I relay it back to the communicator, which goes to the members of the team. So this is the way to manage your time effectively. Otherwise, you get sort of overstretched, too many questions, and people keep running to you. And when they see you are able to do it for them, they will just not do it themselves and then push the things back to you, right? So you need to put the thing back on the people that it's your responsibility, you deliver it. When you are really blocked and when you really need support, you come and ask. And at that time, you can provide the right guidance. And again, don't give them solution. Let them do the thinking, let them find the solution, because if you do the work for them, next time they will be back again. But if you show them how to do it, then they will be able to do it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Same context, another question has come. He said, how do I demonstrate to my staff that my time is precious and not to be wasted?
Okay. Yeah.
So without the sentiments, actually.
I know. So the thing is, you need to be showing to your people that you are dedicated to the work. You are not wasting your time. You are spending time on the important things to achieve the objectives for the company. And you also constantly communicate with your team that, look, this is the project and these are the projects we are given by the top management, and we need to accomplish them in a certain window of time. Together, using our strengths, we can accomplish them. And then upper management will be happy and will get more projects to work on. And hopefully there'll be some bonus coming and that activity will continue. And keep in mind, each and every one of us have a different strength. And if you are the manager, then you have certain obligation with the top management because you are in the middle. You want to get the work done from your subordinates and then convey it to the top management that the work has been done, objectives are achieved, and these are the resources which need to be used. So you are in the middle. You need to show them, to your people, that your time is important. When it's really required, you are very willing to work with them. but otherwise they need to exert themselves and add their value, and always insist upon that I'm adding my value, you need to add your value. So it's on equal footing at that point.
Super, sir. Another question is from one of our YouTube viewer who's a very senior person. Our office is fairly free and easy about time. We trust people to work the full day. What can I do about people who arrive late and go home, especially when the people work from home? How to make sure that the output is effectively done towards the organizational objective?
Yeah. So, and I've been through this dilemma myself, because I work from home, and I can tell you one thing: if you are sincere, you spend more time working from home. So I had several occasions where I had to work from home for a few months at a time due to health condition. One time I had fallen down during the winter time. I was walking outside and slipped on a piece of ice. So I was grounded. I was on crutches for almost 2 months, and I worked from home. And I can tell you my productivity was very high because there was no interruption, no phone calls, only few messages came during the day, and whatever work I need to accomplish, I could do it more. So the whole point is we definitely need to focus on asking people, even if they are working from home, there are objectives set and they need to deliver the results. So sometimes if people come in late and go early, but if they are producing the right results in a given window of time, then I think you have to look at it differently than the person who comes late, goes early, and doesn't produce much at all. So there are two different extremes. You need to treat the first person with respect and allow other people to see how that person is able to accomplish the good things in a given window of time, less time than the others. And those who are slacking off, you need to remind them that there are company policies and organization rules that if the work is not done, then at the review time, they will get a negative review and it will have an impact on the salaries, etc. So you need to be managing it in a judicious way. You cannot put everything in the same basket.
Super, sir. We got another 5 minutes. I'll squeeze in as many questions as possible because some interesting questions have come.
Sure.
So I like to arrive at client's office about 10 minutes before the time we arrange to meet. I believe it shows a willingness to be hyper punctuality and create a good impression on my clients whom I meet. Does it mean I'm wasting my time, or is it good to do so? Go well before the scheduled time, 10-15 minutes before scheduled time.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea because it shows that you are sincere and you care for your client. So you are there early. And let me give you one example. There is a gentleman I used to work with at AT&T marketing group here, Mr. Bernie Surgescator. He has written a book called Quality is Personal. Beautiful book. And what he did, he was the VP of marketing for the central region of AT&T in Chicago. He and his direct staff used to meet for about half an hour every day. What he observed was he himself was late, so subordinates were coming late. So he decided to change his style. He started coming 10 minutes early, and he created a personal checklist. 5-6 items at the personal level and 5-6 items at the company level, attending meeting on time, having the right briefing with him for the meeting for discussion, returning client's call within 24 hours, and things like that, and then putting a standard for it. And at the personal level, calling the mother who was 90 years old every day, keeping the weight within control, having the proper trimming done for the hair, etc., because he was a marketing VP and he needs to interact with the customer. And on this checklist, he used to maintain whenever he could not meet the goal, he would give him a ding. So he was counting errors and defects against the standard he had set for himself. So back to this meeting dilemma, because he started coming in 10 minutes early, his people also kept the checklist and they started coming 10 minutes early. So meeting started and his meetings were standing only. So you're not very comfortable, no sitting down. And all you do is discuss what's on the plate that day. And within 10 minutes, the meeting is over. So before the meeting start on 8 o'clock basis, 1 minute before 8, the entire meeting will be over. They are back to their offices in their work area and try to call the client, try to work with the people in the organization, etc. So they were able to save so much time. So the person who is doing this, going early at the client's place, I think it's a brilliant idea. And that also puts you in a good spirit, because if you come late, there you are not 100% and you cannot give your best to the client when you are late. So excellent thought.
Great, sir. One last question before we let you go. There are a couple of questions that come, but I will try and squeeze in one or two more maximum if you permit me, sir. How do I find out just how busy I am? Is it what I am really means? How do I do that? How do you make the self introspection? Say, am I busy? I have time, and how do you do that? How do you motivate to do this?
Yeah. So I think one thing we need to see is what are we accomplishing at the end of the day? We may be busy doing a lot of things, but it has no value add, then we have wasted time. But if we are doing something meaningful, and if we find satisfaction with that, that means we were busy and we are doing the right thing. And that also motivates you to do more things. Like keeping a variety is very important, and balancing your work with work-life balance is very important. So having time with the children, family members, etc., is very important. Talking to your friends, few minutes here and there, is important. So it all depends on what you are trying to accomplish at the end of the day. And more you keep a track of it, you are able to say with confidence that, yes, today I spent X number of hours, these are the things I accomplished, and that motivates you to do more things the next day. And the whole journey continues. And this becomes a personal habit. And I can tell you one thing, and this I learned at IIT BHU, we had 7 hours of classes. So morning, 6 o'clock, wake up, go to bed at 12 at night. 7 hours of class time and 6 hours of homework time, 13 hours a day. And that discipline, when you are young, you can do it, right? And that makes a habit. And I do not mind doing anything. There is nothing trivial, right? Whatever work needs to be accomplished, you do it, because everything is important at the end of the day. Everything ends up adding the value.
Sorry, sir. There's a question from a professor, because since you are talking on the same line, Mr.
Yeah.
Rasim, he says, as a faculty, few times scheduled classes are cancelled, or sometimes to pitch in with other work. We cannot say no to these requests. At times, the entire personal professional schedule are derailed. So, a few suggestions how to manage as a faculty this sort of issues.
Yeah, so as a faculty, I think one needs to make sure that you are doing whatever task you are assigned to do first, right? So your teaching load, your research load, you need to take care of that. Now, if you have some students who could help you, try to engage them, because they will learn from that experience. And I can tell you, the professors I work with, they were so generous in giving delegation so that we do the work for them. And this is actually going back to very early time when I was in high school. One of the faculty would invite several students to come at home and look at the other peers' exam papers and give us a practice of how to grade them, etc. So by delegating certain things to others, you will create a little more time, and certain extra activities you will have to do. And this is required at the university setting, attending the meetings, being part of the committees, say different planning teams, etc. You have to give your time, but balance it with what important thing you need to accomplish. And once you have done that, and if there is a overload, work with your department head, because you cannot keep working over all the scheduled time, all the time. When you are running into that issue, talk to your bosses and let them know what the situation is and get their guidance. So always help is available. We need to ask for it.
Super, sir. One last question. I know it's already midnight for you. This
No
question has
problem.
come from Mr. Sivan Balan. He says, please suggest me a great global practical study method. Maybe it's how to balance the mood or interest or work to be accomplished in this. This is the question from Mr. Sivan Balan. It's come on a chat box. This is the last question, sir. We won't bother you with any more questions. Those are a number of questions that come to me, but I know time management has got no time. So we already overshot the time. I'll request to answer this and
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's a question of mindset, right? If we put our mind to do something, and if it is something relevant, something useful to ourselves, our family, useful to the society, we will have more positive mindset and we are able to accomplish that task. If we think it is something mundane, it has no value, we are just passing through the motion, then we don't feel like doing it, our mood will not be there. So always try to sort out things and don't get into things which has no value. So like gossip, right? Doing gossip about something which has no value, you are wasting your time. If you really want to create a positive mood and mindset, you take a look at what you are trying to work on and what's on your plate and make sure that you are only eating things you like and which is of value to you, right? Don't take any rubbish thing coming in. And same thing, don't take any tasks which are rubbish, wasting time and adding no value at the end of the day.
super, sir. Super. Sivan asked me, what do I do? I will always listen to my gut feeling. I'm quite passionate about what I want to do. He said your mood and interest and what suits you, you must do. And I think in this matters, you must listen to your heart more than to your mind. So that will
Definitely.
make you more
Yeah.
what you want to do. Sir, I think all good things are to come to an end. It's been a fascinating morning, sir, because we already overshot by 10 minutes. My apologies for really keeping me
No
because
problem.
so much
No
have been
problem.
so many interesting questions. Thank you so much, Dr. Manu Vora. You have been a real support to MMA in filler of our knowledge sharing with so many people. I think today more than 4,000 plus people have watched this program from all our YouTube, Facebook, and number of other channels, and that clearly calls the full factor of your professionalism, and they are looking forward to listen to you. I think next 3 lectures, what we have planned is going to be a great hit, and thank you so much. I request all the participants and please convey your appreciation, show your sign of applaud, show your sign of a great sense of satisfaction what you all derived from the lecture. Thank you, Dr. Vora. Good night, and I'm quite sure it's really a late night for you. For a person of your age, 75 people, one time management everybody should learn from you is that this age, you very clearly proved that health makes the time infinite. All the students who are watching this program live, thank you so much for joining us. Keep watching the program, and especially this evening one is very, very important where Mr. Veerappamuli is going to be talking on another important subject. Keep learning, stay safe, keep safe distancing, because at the end of the day, all, as I mentioned every time, the destiny is in your hands. Keep washing your hands, keep it clean. Okay, all the very best, and bye bye. Once again, thank you, Dr. Vora, and indeed a pleasure to have you with us. And thanks, Venkat, for connecting so many students, and
Yeah.
very well done. Thank Mr. Devashi staying till end. It's indeed a pleasure to have you with us. Bye bye.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Captain Vijay Kumarji. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. And we'll see you soon in next few weeks.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Good night.
Bye. Bye.
Mohan, Sundar, you're online. Sundar or Mohan?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sundar, you're online. Just there's one question has come for the evening talk. May I